What is up, guys? It is the Bluebloods here coming at y'all with another Week 4 preview, and we have our game of the week this week, which is the Texas A&M Aggies, number 7 in the country, facing the number 16 Arkansas Razorbacks. And right now, the Aggies are a 5.5-point favorite. This game kicks off at 2:30 p.m. Central Time. And like I said, it's our matchup of the week in AT&T Stadium on CBS. And it's probably, listen, I know in the preseason a lot of people didn't dub it this, but right now you could argue this might be one of the most important matchups in the SEC this season. And it's going to be due to A&M being a top 10 team, Arkansas being the Cinderella story of college football this year. And you look at the storyline surrounding this game. First of all, the Aggies and Jimbo Fisher are looking to improve to 4-0. They want to show the country that they are still that college football playoff contender that they were last year. And they also got some question marks. Zach Calzada takes over the starting quarterback spot until Haynes King returns. He had to step up in that Colorado game, got the win. They had New Mexico as a great tune-up game, but now this is going to be the test. What is this A&M team going to be with Calzada at that QB1 spot? And then the Razorbacks on the flip side are probably the hottest team and one of the biggest underdog stories in the country, especially after UCLA got beat this past weekend by Fresno State. But they have all the hype coming into the weekend. Sam Pittman has the Razorbacks, guys. This is going to sound crazy coming out of my mouth. If they can get a win this weekend in Dallas, you're talking about Arkansas potentially being a top 10 team in the country. I never thought that in my life that would come out of my mouth on this show this year. And anytime soon, I would say even next year, but that's what the Razorbacks have done this year. A huge win against Texas, and then they had some tune-up games, but man, this test is huge for Arkansas. It's a must-win for them if they expect to continue this great run. Looking at the series, though, A&M is on a 9-game win streak, looking to make it 10 as we get into this game this weekend. But 5 of the last 7 games in this series have been one-score games, and it's seen its share of memorable moments, whether that be overtime games, back and forth, matchups. And this rivalry game, it's like all the others in the country, man. You could just throw out the records because there was years where Arkansas was atrocious and they gave A&M a game even when they weren't supposed to. But now we have one of the most important matchups in this matchup in years. I personally, I don't even remember the last time both of these teams were ranked in a long time. So this one means the world. And so let's get into the keys for Texas A&M. It should be the exact same game plan that they've used all season. Lean on this rushing game led by Isaiah Spiller, control the clock, and let your defense impose its will, because what that will do is allow Zach Calzada to not have any pressure on him, and he can open up the deep passing game at times later in the game to really put this game out of reach and utilize some of those deep threats that he has in terms of playmakers at wide receiver. Now, Spiller and Devin Akane have been absolutely unstoppable this season, and they're going to be the X factors for the Aggies, in my opinion. I think both of these guys are ballers, and they cannot allow Arkansas to shut this run game down. Spiller and these boys have to have their best game of the season. You look at Spiller, 250, a touchdown, averaging over 6 yards per carry. Kane also over 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, and over 6 yards per carry. That has to be the formula. They have to run the ball, control the clock, wear down that Arkansas defensive front, and open up some great opportunities down the field in terms of high percentage throws for Zach Calzada. Now, he stepped up, like I said, in the Colorado game. He threw the game-winning touchdown after a few struggles early when he came in. He's going to have one of his best games of the season if the Aggies expect to get out of here with a win. The biggest concern I have are turnovers and accuracy for him. He's only completed 51% of his passes this year, 450 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 2 picks, though. Calzada has made a living off the deep ball. That is the biggest positive in terms of what he brings compared to Haynes King, who really struggled with the deep ball in his limited action. Even though Calzada's only attempted the deep ball on 8% of his passes thus far, he grades out at a 95 in terms of passes 20-plus yards down the field. He has 120 yards, 2 touchdowns, no turnovers in those attempts. So the more, if they can get the deep ball going or run the ball well enough to open up some one-on-one opportunities on the outside to take the deep shot, have those safeties like Catalan come down into the box, they're going to have to try to find something deep at some point in this game and really get some explosive plays through the passing game going. Now, if Calzada can stretch the field, it's really going to impact the Razorback defense and put them in some tough spots, because when you look at this A&M offense, they're too talented in the backfield for you only put a 5 or 6 in the box. You're going to have to stack the box to stop Spiller in this running attack, because this offensive line has performed very well. But the biggest problem is for Arkansas, you also don't want to let those guys on the outside like Anais Smith. Demas exploded onto the scene last week. Watermeyer at tight end is a problem. They have too many weapons at too many different spots. So Arkansas is going to have to find a balance between not allowing the big explosive plays over the top while also limiting the run. Now, the weak spot of A&M, though, is pressure on the quarterback. Calzada, it turns into a completely different quarterback when he's under pressure, only completing 37% of his passes under pressure with 2 picks. And his average pass attempt his yards per average pass attempt drops to 4 yards. That's not going to beat Arkansas. You're going to have a huge problem. And that's why the offensive line for the Aggies are one of my most important units in this game. And we'll get to them a little bit later. But, Anais Smith is my X factor, man. If they can get the run game going, Anais Smith is someone to watch on the outside, because, Arkansas has some great DBs, but Smith is so explosive, and I want to see what he can do. I mentioned, Demas coming in last week and exploding. I believe he had 2 catches for 100 yards and had a bunch of explosive plays. He's going to be someone to watch. I want to see how much action he sees, because last week was really the first time we saw him on the field. So those are some things to watch for Texas A&M. Now, the key for Arkansas is similar, but it's because of their diverse ground attack, and especially the extension of KJ Jefferson with his legs and what he can do out of the pocket. It's going to be very interesting to see how Arkansas establishes the run game compared to A&M's, 2-back system. You look at, Traylon Smith, Raheem Sanders, Dominique Johnson, A.J. Green, all these guys have over 100 rushing yards this year. And when they put up that 300-yard rushing performance on Texas, it was a by-committee approach, and they had so many guys taking it to the house. And the one thing Arkansas has going for them, in my opinion, that A&M doesn't, is that they have the luxury to wear down this front 7 with fresh bodies all game. You look at Smith, over 200 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns. Sanders, 130 in the touchdown. Johnson, 130 and 3 touchdowns. And Johnson's averaging 8 yards per carry, while Green has 104 yards, and he's averaging 7 yards to carry and a touchdown. All have touchdowns, all have over 100 yards, and all 4 running backs are averaging over 5 yards per carry. That is a dangerous, dangerous recipe against this A&M defense, who, yes, they've only allowed 77 yards passing per game, but they've allowed a few teams to really open up that run game on them, and they're allowing over 160 yards rushing per game. So Arkansas has to establish the run and get all those talented running backs that they have accumulated into the game plan. Now, KJ Jefferson, man, he might not be, the best passer in the country, but he does well in the top. He can make the throws when needed, but the combination of his ability to run out of the pocket, make plays, just be that all-around playmaker, is what makes him such a dangerous weapon for the Razorbacks this weekend. Arkansas has not had a quarterback like this in a long time. Say what you want about Felipe Franks playing well last year. KJ Jefferson is different, and he just seems every week to get more and more confident. Last week, he threw for over 300 yards, which is the first time we saw him do that. He's completed over 60% of his passes, has 4 passing touchdowns, averaging over 7 yards per rush as well, with 2 rushing touchdowns. The guy has played outstanding this year. I want to see him become a little bit more consistent through the air and avoid those turnovers. But Jefferson is at his best when the Razorbacks running game is rolling, and he has the arm to test this A&M secondary deep, which at times has not been tested at all. They've been playing lights out, but they also haven't seen a quarterback, in my opinion, who can air it out like Jefferson with his arm strength. And also, I just don't think they faced an offense like this Arkansas offense yet. Now, he has to avoid turnovers. I mentioned that once, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it again. A&M secondary has playmakers everywhere. O'Neal, Richardson, Jones, all those guys are absolute matchup nightmares and problems. And if you put the ball in danger, you read the wrong thing, you get confused, you get pressure and throw it up, they're going to intercept it, and they're going to take it back to the house, and they're going to make you pay. This defense is too good for Jefferson just to be, freewheeling out there and just throwing it into double coverage. And he has to be calm and composed like he was against Texas. And he has to just make sure he makes the plays and keeps drives established. The offense in this game that can establish their rhythm and control the pace of the game is going to win this game. And they both have relied on that all season. So now something's going to have to come to a head. Which defense, in my opinion, can make a stop is going to be the most important factor in this game. Now, the matchup to watch is so hard to pick. I could have went with Arkansas's wide receivers against the secondary. I could have went, Texas A&M's D-line against this Arkansas O-line. I mean, you could pick so many different matchups, but I'm more confident in Jefferson under pressure due to his playmaking outside the pocket than I am Calzada. So I'm going to go with A&M's offensive line against this Razorback front seven because I feel like establishing the run is so important for A&M because I don't trust Calzada if he has to carry this offense alone. So I'm going to go with this matchup. And I just want to say, man, the Aggies O-line has played lights out this year, way better than I thought. They've had to rotate a few pieces, but even with new starters, with the pieces rotating, they seem to have built chemistry pretty fast. And for me, it all starts with Kenyon Green. He is going to be a star, in my opinion, in the NFL. He's been so efficient. He's really the leader of this offensive line. But Layden Robinson, he's only played in 2 games, so he rotated in. He's the highest graded offensive lineman for the Aggies this year and is one of the best one of the best run blockers in the country. So look out for him too. But the X factor here for me, Bryce Foster at center, is going to have to be the key for the Aggies. He has been the weakest spot on this offensive line all year, and the Razorbacks are going to try to exploit that up the middle because if you can get pressure up the middle, it throws the quarterback off tremendously. So he's allowed 7 pressures and 5 hurries already this year, and the Arkansas defensive line has some dogs on the inside of that line that can get a pass rush. Bryce Foster has to have one of his best games of the season. Now, the Aggies have only given up 6 sacks this year, but this is one of the best front sevens they've seen. They cannot allow Calzada to have pressure in his face all game and for him to get that internal clock ticking way faster than they would like. They got to keep Calzada comfortable, and they have to win this matchup if they expect to win the game, especially in terms of establishing the rushing game with Spiller in them. So the Razorbacks front seven, on the other hand, has a lot of experience, and they're finally delivering on all that experience and all that hype, and they've played exceptional. I mean, when you shut down Bijan Robinson in a game like that 2 weeks ago, it is so impressive, especially because he's one of the best running backs in the country. Now, the linebacker spot is probably the strength of this defense. I love Catalan at safety, but as an overall unit, Hayden Henry, Bumper Pool, Grant Morgan, they've combined for over 70 tackles this year, which is, approaching almost 50% of the tackles on this team, and they are everywhere, and they have shown a unique ability to make plays all across the field. Now, Bumper Pool is someone I want to watch, man. He is kind of like the heart and soul of this defense, and he's going to be the guy who you can rely on to stop the run by himself almost. He's going to be the Mike type guy who's going to be all over the field. So look out for Poole this game. Now the defensive line, Zach Williams at the edge spot and John Ridgeway at the interior of that defensive line are both going to make huge impacts on this game. Now Markel, I believe it's Utsi and Trey Williams are going to be the other starters. And Trey Williams is my X factor on this D-line. He's the 2nd highest rated pass rusher on this team, and he's going to have a big game. He's going to have to try to find a way to get around those tackles on the edge who have been the strength of this A&M D-line. Now, Isaiah Nichols is another name I want you to watch. He's a backup D tackle, but he has been one of the most efficient defensive linemen for the Razorbacks all season. I think he's a key to take advantage of the middle of that offensive line for A&M and try to get some pressure up the middle while also trying to slow down this explosive running game from A&M. The Razorbacks have 7 sacks over the first 3 games, but they've generated 25 pressures thus far this season. And the front 7 has shut down the run game for most of the teams they played and really set the secondary up to make some major plays. So what has to happen is which offense – I mean, the main question I have is which offense can establish the run game? Because if one of these teams gets shut down on the ground, I think it could be a runaway for the other team. Which team can impose their will? That is the main question, and I am so excited for this matchup. So for my official prediction, man, I think this is going to be a low-scoring game, especially early, and I think it's going to just be it's going to be an old-fashioned, like, who can play smash mouth football the best. I just have a little bit more faith right now, man. It would probably be so different if Haynes King wasn't hurt. I have more faith in KJ Jefferson to make a play than I do Zach Calzada to win the game. And just the by-committee approach of that running back room for Arkansas, I think is going to wear down that defensive front just enough. And I think this is going to be A&M's up here. Arkansas scores their up, and it's going to be a back-and-forth game all game. I just think Arkansas makes one play late with KJ Jefferson and the Razorbacks in the 9-game win streak for the Aggies. Arkansas 24, A&M 20 is my prediction for this weekend. And guys, it's the game of the week. So if you made it to this far, comment below your score prediction and like the video. And if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. And we're doing a $20 giveaway. If you predict the score on the dot and the winner correctly, we will Venmo you, man, $20. So make sure to comment your score predictions below, like the video, and subscribe to enter the giveaway, man. But guys, I just think Arkansas makes one play. It's going to be such a great game, and this is going to be the game I'm most looking forward to this weekend. But I got the Razorbacks 24, the Aggies 20. So make sure to check out our other Week 4 content, man. There's a playlist on our channel. Make sure to subscribe and make sure to like the video and share it with any friends or family, man, who are big college football fans, because we are the best college football YouTube channel out right now, man. We got the most content, the highest quality, and the most in-depth previews that you can find anywhere. But guys, we'll be back later this afternoon with more previews and the rest of the week as well. So hit that subscribe button, and I will catch y'all later today. But for right now, the Blue Bloods are out.